So you guys remember that Therefore Project guy I covered a while back? Well, I recently learned he unlisted the video of his I covered and essentially decided to remake it. So I figured it would at least be worthwhile to see if his new arguments are any better than his old ones.
When someone says to me, "Can you prove God exists?" I give a very simple response: no. I say that because I know what they mean by prove. They want me to prove the existence of God using rational reasoning, which says nothing can be believed unless there is unmistakable empirical evidence that is so strong no thinking person could possibly miss it.
I find it a little weird that you're deciding to put an emphasis on no thinking person being able to disagree. If you're talking to somebody, I think it would make more sense to focus on the evidence being so strong they wouldn't be able to disagree with it. That's not really a criticism, though, it's more just a note.
You just can't prove the existence of God that way. But you can't prove the non-existence of God that way either. Those who say there is no God for rational reasons seem to have no problem crediting things like luck or coincidence or chance when they see or experience something they can't explain. Can you prove luck or coincidence or chance rationally? No way.
First off, even if I grant you your premise, it doesn't prove theism true. All it would do is prove the individual atheist you're talking about to be a hypocrite. And don't get me wrong, that is definitely a moral failing on the part of said atheist. However, that doesn't inherently make their position incorrect. Also, this is the same thing I debunked last time. To re-go down this list, what do you mean by luck? Do you mean something natural or supernatural? If you mean something supernatural, I agree with you, there isn't any strong evidence for it, hence why I reject it. If you mean something natural, as in an unlikely event that benefits a person occurs, then we do have evidence of that because unlikely events that benefit people occur all the time. Chance is just probability, which is more a statistical concept than anything else, so I really don't see how you know it's relevant, and we know it exists because we can crunch the numbers to determine what the chance of something occurring is. And all that's needed for coincidence to exist is two events, well, coinciding that are completely unrelated.
All of us act on faith way more than we do on rational reasoning. If everything were so logical and clear, you wouldn't have thinking people taking sides on nearly every issue. I mean, think of it. From politics to the best pickup truck, very intelligent, logical thinking people don't agree. They look at some information, which is far from exhaustive, then they step out in faith, hoping they're right.
Okay, here you're kind of right, but you're not really grasping the full scope of it. First off, using your example of the best pickup truck, what do you mean by best? What standard are we using to judge the quality of said pickup truck? Are we using gas mileage? Are we using ease of driving? Are we using amount of bells and whistles? Thinking people inherently disagree with it, not because there isn't a logical answer to, at the very least, 2 out of 3 of those questions, but also because they aren't going to inherently value the same things. Regarding politics, it depends on what the inherent goal of the person is in the political realm. Those who think economic equality should be strived for are going to have a different view of the world than those who do not view economic inequality as a concern. But here, the issue isn't even logic or the information, it's the starting point. Going back to the example I just gave, if I told both of those hypothetical people that a certain policy increased income inequality, the person who's concerned about income inequality would logically come to the conclusion we should reverse it, while the person who isn't concerned about it might not inherently think that's the right course of action. However, both completely follow logically from their starting point, and both were given the same information. It's the issue of a fundamental worldview that's the problem.
We fly in airplanes, trusting a pilot we've never met. Is that rational?
Given the odds of a plane crash are 1 in 11 million, yeah, I'd say so, actually.
We drive in cars and trust people we don't know who are coming right toward us that they'll obey the traffic laws. Is that rational?
Well, yeah, again, because that's what normally happens. The odds of you getting into one only being about 1 in 366 per 1,000 miles.
Did you know that the Bible never tries to prove the existence of God? Never. The very first words of the Bible are, "In the beginning, God." He's just there without any explanation. That's because the Bible's written from the perspective that everyone deep in their knower knows God exists. It's just part of being created in the image of God.
And this is similarly something that I debunked last time I covered you, so I'll just make it brief. If this really were true, why are there people who don't believe in God in the first place?
Now, since neither theism nor atheism can be proven with rational reasoning, let's just call them theories. And the test of theory, in simplified terms, you collect data, you do some testing, and then you ask the question, does this theory explain our observations and experiences? So let's do that. If you go with atheism, that there's no God who gives humanity and the universe a sense of meaning and purpose, and that everything is the result of time and chance, you'd expect a lack of design, chaos, disorder, and no moral sense of right and wrong. I mean, that's what happens without a plan, right?
So this is the basis of a lot of the rest of the video, and I just have one question. Why is that what you'd expect to see? You say that's what we'd expect to see without a plan, but who's to say that's not what we have? Tell me, what exactly is ordered about living on a very slightly oblate spheroid that spins on its axis in a manner that feels entirely stationary to those who live on said oblate spheroid?
It doesn't take rocket science to see that our world has an incredible sense of order and design at every level. From astronomy to the ecosystem, to the laws of science and physics, to the human body, we see unexplainable order that keeps working day after week, after year, after century.
The human body doesn't continue to work for centuries, though. We aren't even at the point where it reliably works for a single century yet. The average life expectancy is only 77.5 years in the United States, after all.
When we look at humanity, we see a morality of kindness and caring with the ability to love, rather than base survival of the fittest of the animal kingdom.
You know animals can experience love too, right?
When we look at the universe, we see things springing from nothing in ways we just can't explain.
Which kind of sounds chaotic, don't you think? Anyway, final thoughts. The arguments here are definitely a tad more well-structured than they were in the original video, I will grant this man that. However, that doesn't inherently mean his arguments are valid. And sorry to say, he's still just not very good at making his case. Good night, and good luck.